You have copies of this report? If not, raise your hands and the stewards. Document on Reference Policy Committee. Okay. Thank you. Then we ask Bishop Malauza to present the report, please.
Good afternoon. Moderator.
You are very, very tall. Then
yes.
Maybe
this is a blessing.
Yes.
It's part of the blessings.
Now it's okay.
Yeah. Moderator, I would like to take this opportunity first to introduce my committee from Policy and Reference Committee. Please, the member of committee, if they are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for what we discussed in our committee. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our rapporteur, Madam Anne, to report what we have been discussing and our recommendations to this Central Committee. Welcome.
Sorry.
Then she needed.
Yeah.
Thank you, moderator. I do need the little bit of extra height. I'd like to thank the moderator of the committee, my fellow rapporteur, and the staff supporting the work of the Policy Reference Committee, Father Daniel and Martin Rober. You will see slight changes on the screen from the paper that was handed out to you or the electronic version. The additions were either corrections or clarifications that came after the paper was already in translation. So you'll see in paragraph 2 the names of our guests from the Ukrainian Church, and you'll see on page 3 the addition of the language of the rule related to suspension, and some few corrections as far as grammar and spacing. So, moderator, I believe that the expectation here is that we read the recommendations of the report. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So the narrative will be left to the end, but we here will decide about the recommendations of the Policy Reference Committee. The document's been out for some time, and I'm sure you've all had a chance to read it. The first document we considered, these are the recommendations of the Policy Reference Committee. Gen 1, the moderator's address. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee A, receives with appreciation the moderator's address, encouraging the churches to engage together in their active responses to the urgent spiritual challenges presented by the landscape described in Gen 1. B, encourages the World Council of Churches staff to ensure that local initiatives and regional consultations are planned with the member churches and regional ecumenical organizations, considering the particularity of the local context. C, consider whether the World Council of Churches might contribute to the response to structural violence and racism globally by strengthening its relationships with National Council of Churches engaged in efforts to combat racism, as well as partners such as the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States and as it expands globally. And D, asks the World Council of Churches communications to initiate a thorough analysis of the impact of public statements issued by the World Council of Churches governing bodies. The word bodies should be added after governing.
Thank you. Let's go one by one of the recommendations. A, show your cards, please. The B, And C, keep it. Fernando, please.
I have a question for clarification. Under C, the last sentence, to ask communications to initiate a thorough analysis of the impact of the public statements. Is this a general, is this concerning the general issuing of statements?
You'll see it was a correction made. It was a
sorry.
numbering problem.
Okay. So
Then, okay, then, please. Three, yeah.
Anne Mitchell from the Canadian Yearly Meeting of the Religious Society of Friends, and it's just a simple thing. The Black Lives Matter movement is also active now. It's in Canada too, so if you could say US and Canada, that would be helpful. Thank you.
The proposal is
then
to
why say
add USA and Canada, eh?
Moderator, it's also active elsewhere. That's why it's expanding as we speak. So that's why the language had said the United States and as it expands globally.
Globally. Do you accept that? Your cards?
No?
I just don't know why the US is predominantly, it started there maybe, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
It's fine? It's fine as it is, or we take the proposal? Please, microphone 3, please. It works, it works. Put
No.
a little down because, like this. Yeah. Please speak. The microphone does not work. Go to another one, to the 4. Or to 1 here.
Yeah, I think it's important to just say that it expands globally. It's very important because the vision of Black Lives Matter is a global vision. They've already addressed the UN, for example. So it's moving very quickly in a global way. And my understanding is from the US that it was established first there in partnership with other places because the young people use social media. So even from the genesis, it's been global as well. So just a footnote.
So including Canada would be appropriate here?
I think it would be fine. I just think that the initial vision was not just local, it was always global. Because our young people, as we heard the other day, are global thinking people. So I just want to emphasize the global nature of the work, that's all.
Could I suggest then that the text should read Black Lives Matter movement as it expands globally and eliminate the specific reference to the US?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then you delete and
moderator,
reads movement and this expands globally. Okay, yes.
in the correction that I made to D, adding the word bodies, I actually think that's wrong. I think it should just say WCC full stop because the General Secretary also issues statements, if you'll excuse me.
We delete the governing bodies. WCC. Okay. Now we are
You have a
on
question?
D.
No, a question.
Yes, Dr. Kalas.
I have a question and clarification on D. Usually, the Communication Committee is meeting only through the Central Committee. This is first. Second, what kind of impact they are looking for, positive or negative? It is not clear for me. I am very strongly advocating D, but with a completely different wording. Ask the WCC Communication Department, including committee and staff, to initiate a thorough analysis of positive, negative impacts of public statement issued by the WCC.
I think that that comports with the intention of the committee. I see no.
Then finally, what is the proposal? What is proposal?
It's coming up on the screen,
Well,
Your Eminence.
ask the WCC Communications Department, including,
Can you,
Including the committee, and the committee, not including, the communication department, committee, to initiate a thorough analysis of the impact
but it's not clear which committee we are talking about.
communication.
Yes, we understand, but here, ask the WCC Communications Department, it's not a committee, it's a reference group, how you call? How is the correct title?
No.
Reference group of communication, eh? It's not a committee.
This committee is part of the subcommittee, as
Ah.
a subcommittee. But it's only here.
It's only here, yes. Now, what is this double, and the communications, Olaf?
The communication committee as a subcommittee or the subcommittee is not in action until
Right.
the next 2 years. So I think it can be taken well care of if you ask the WCC communication department to initiate it.
and report to the Communications Committee? Report to the Central Committee? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's understood. Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
then please make the correction. Ask the WC Communication Department to initiate, you delete the rest, to initiate a thorough analysis of the positive and negative impact of public statements issued by WCC. You agree now that? Yes? No? Blue?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm sure about protocol. The Communications Department is working with the Communications Committee here and in between meetings. So I think it is important to say governance is also a partner with the department. It's not what we would be doing in the department, but there is a partnership there. So I would support adding the committee with the department. I'm the rapporteur, by the way.
But you don't meet between the two central committees. You meet only when we are here. The conversation must not be systematic. This is understood, I think. Ask the WC Communication Department to initiate. As they want, they can communicate with the reference group, with the committee. We keep like this. You have a comment to that?
Yeah, I have a comment on the D. When we say that impact of public statements, analysis of the impact of the public statements, we don't need to mention positive and negative. So positive and negative can be deleted. I feel that,
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Is there?
It could be deleted.
No, in the original was not there. Was a proposal, then they put here. Then you come back to the original text. Ask the WC Communication Department to initiate a thorough analysis of the impact of public statements issued by the WCC. You agree now? Please, your cards. Thank you. What is? Then let's continue, please. On.
Thank you, moderator. The next document we looked at from the point of view of relationships was the report of the General Secretary. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee receive with appreciation the report of the General Secretary, encouraging the General Secretary to continue with the WCC leadership, their pilgrimage with the churches, exploring possibilities of hope as the pilgrimage of justice and peace continues. Next section, E, continue to build on the rich legacy of past initiatives of the World Council of Churches, such as the Program to Combat Racism and the International Ecumenical Peace Convocation in Jamaica, where relevant, while encouraging the churches to act together in response to the current ecumenical landscape. F, encourage member churches to explore together the spirituality of peace, nurturing hope in the face of the challenges of a broken world.
Thank you. Just for the enumeration, there are 2D. There are 2 Ds now.
We'll
could you go a
correct.
little to the text
Thank you.
before, please? Move a little text before.
Moderator, they're all going to have to be adjusted now with the correction of D.
This is E now, it's not D,
Yeah,
and then you have to change. Now, for the, yes, okay, they do. For E, please, your cards. Thank you. The next one, F, continue to build. Your cards. Thank you. The next one, G, encourage member churches. Thank you very much. Continue, please.
thank you, Moderator. The next document is Gen 02, the report of the Executive Committee. And continuing the corrections, we'll deal with H and I.
Okay.
The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee request that the Executive Committee show more clearly how to ensure greater coherence between the subcommittees of the Executive Committees and the corresponding committee of the Central Committee, and make even more visible in its further elaboration of the strategic plan the connection to strengthening relationships between and among member churches and with ecumenical partners.
Thank you. First recommendation, H, show more. Your cards. Yes, Dr. Covers.
A question of clarification.
Eh?
A question of clarification. What they mean, a greater coherence between the two subcommittees?
So more clearly how to ensure greater coherence between.
What was the
I
back
actually wasn't in the room for that
skepticism in this?
I think the intent of the committee was acknowledging that the Executive Committee, subcommittee, is handling the specifics of the content that then comes to the Central Committee, to have more of a handoff and to have members of that committee also orally bring the Central Committee up to date as to where the work of the Executive Committee subcommittee had left off.
It's clear now?
No.
But you agree? No? Dr. Covers,
It's okay.
yes or no?
Coherence is present, as if there is no coherence.
It's-
Members in the subcommittees of the executive committees, for example, at the nomination, they are also at the nomination of the Central Committee. Members of the Finance Committee, of the Subcommittee of the Executive, they are members of the Finance Committee of the Central Committee. Much more coherence than this, what we want. Let us clarify it.
Apparently, some members of our committee felt that there was a gap, and all they're asking for is attention to the gap.
Yeah. Yeah, all of you.
Is it a gap of lack of communication?
No, not to coherence.
Who had the comment? Yes?
Yes,
Our moderator has a response to this.
Yeah, I think it was said that it's a lack of communication from one committee to another. So maybe we can
Understood as
try
ensure
to
greater
use
continued communication.
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 So instead of
So more
coherence,
clearly,
communication.
to ensure greater, not greater, to ensure better communication, not greater, better communication,
Or just communication.
or just communication. Microphone to this, for this? No, please.
Thank you, moderator. I agree with the spirit. I just think that we have to decide which one of the two formulations we have at the moment, because either we delete show more clearly how, and we leave to ensure communication, or we show more coherence between the subcommittees. At the moment, we have two different formulations in one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I propose, therefore, to delete show more clearly how.
Just got it. Do you agree to delete the from show up to how, and the recommendation will begin to assure
And
communication
without
and
two,
between and
maybe.
so on.
Also
Did you agree on
deleting
that?
two.
Your cards? No?
Your Eminence, there is a problem in this whole sentence.
What's the problem?
And it will go into the issue of rules. Subcommittees of the Executive Committee will report only to the Executive Committee. Some issues will not pass through the Executive Committee, and accordingly, they must not come to the subcommittees of the Central Committee. So it's an issue.
He's right.
It's an issue of rules. Those are subcommittees of completely different two governing bodies. By this mean, that we are minimizing the effort of the Central Committee.
Okay.
So
Then-
I think that we all have to delete it all. Thank you.
Did you agree to delete the whole recommendation, the H? Show your cards. Show your cards. Please. Now where we are. Once more, please show your cards if you agree to delete this recommendation. No, it's okay, it's deleted. The next one, any comments? Make even more visible. If you agree, show your cards, please. Thank you. Anne, continue, please.
Thank you, moderator. We're now back on track with our numbering. The next
Never mind, we'll continue.
document is Gen 7, the report of the Permanent Committee on Consensus and Collaboration. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee receive and confirm the recommendations of the Permanent Committee included in Gen 7. J, consider whether the World Council of Churches rules, paragraph 6.8a6, which calls for, quote, fair and adequate representation of laypersons, indigenous people, and differently abled people, and balance of men, women, and young people, be amended to require each family or family of churches to propose a fair and adequate number of women and men to the Central Committee and other bodies and commissions of the World Council of Churches, and to require churches or families of churches who are unable to comply to leave seats vacant to prevent an imbalance from arising in the total membership, the recommendation from Gen Pro 04. K, address the policy of the World Council of Churches related to the application and acceptance of specialized ministries into a working relationship with the World Council of Churches according to rule, and here's their correction, Rule 16, in particular with respect to the cumulative impact of regional and confessional interests on the World Council of Churches.
Thank you. Please don't make the corrections with the numbers. We keep as it is more easier because there is a confusion now. We continue the text using the numbers as it is now. Then, for the receives and confirms, any comments on that? Your cards, please. Thank you, it's okay. The next one. Yes, Metropolitan Bishoy.
The sentence.
Yeah, Metropolitan, speak, please.
Metropolitan Bishoy, Coptic Orthodox Church, Metropolitan of Damiet. The sentence saying, and to require churches or families of churches who are unable to comply to leave seats vacant to prevent an imbalance from arising in the total membership. It can be helped in another way, that in friendly consultation, another family can substitute the short nomination by nominating people in the other family, but it is the first time to start saying to leave seats vacant like that.
Do you have any?
Proposal which I heard in our meeting in the nomination committee also, that we, during inviting the churches to the meetings, we give clear instructions that you should follow the percentage which is needed for the representation in the invitation to the meeting or conference or anything. But to leave the seats vacant is something new, which we should not hurry to affirm. And I think that this will go to the General Assembly also, this change of rule of WCC.
Your Eminence, could you try to formulate something? We continue, and then we come back again to that. If you can write something, then you can put in the screen and also to see the others. Would it be possible?
Moderator, just that the recommendation of the Policy Reference Committee is to put the issue forward to the permanent committee for substantive discussion, not to have that discussion here. It was lifted directly from the Gender Advisory Committee recommendation that happened. The Policy Reference Committee affirms that the issue go forward to the permanent committee for consideration.
Then we leave as it is.
So that specific language should go maybe to the permanent committee itself.
To go to the permanent committee. This.
I write the proposal to the permanent committee.
Yeah.
Is that your request?
The request is to address to the PCC, to the
Okay.
permanent committee.
Okay. Thank
Huh?
you.
It's okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. The K, the next one, please. Show your cards. Thank you. The next one.
Moderator, we're very happy to move to Membership Matters, Gen 5, which is a continuation of work that's been underway for quite some time. I'll present the first recommendation and then stop. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee, based on Rule 1.5, Decision on Acceptance, acknowledging that during the established interim period, the member churches of the World Council of Churches were consulted, and assessing that consensus of member churches has developed in favor of the below 3 applications, decides that the Dutch Reformed Church in South Africa is readmitted as a full World Council of Churches member church, that the Church of Central Africa, Presbyterian Blantyre Synod, is admitted as a full World Council of Churches member church, and that the Council of Baptist Churches in Northeast India is admitted as a full World Council of Churches member church.
Thank you. Just a little, there is a full and not full member. Why you put the full? I don't understand.
Fine, member church.
Member, please delete.
Well, there's been an interim period, that's all. It's because we've been speaking of an interim period.
Interim and
But that's why it was used, so.
Is the rule is to say that, full member? Okay. Because the interim period that passed out of that. Then this is a moment, very historical moment for these churches, and to be received as a full member, let's say, of the World Council of Churches. We have also the honor and the joy that they are the representatives here of these churches. and we like kindly ask them to. Let me finish. Then they come and to address to us, and also to see our brothers that now become member church, their churches become members of the WCC. Microphone, please. What is the problem?
I want to speak. My name is Marian Plaatje-Sonnevel, and I'm the president of Africa, so I want to speak on the readmittance of the Dutch Reformed Church. It's okay?
Hey, please.
From the region, I just want to say the following. The readmittance of the Dutch Reformed Church in South Africa will be something which we're going to celebrate in South Africa especially. We all know the reasons why the Dutch Reformed Church in 1961 left the communion, and therefore for us in the region, in Africa, it means quite a lot to celebrate their homecoming. They are welcome back in the oikos when we're going to approve this recommendation of the PRC, and what we want to say to you the following. We seem forward to reflect and to pray together with our Dutch Reformed brothers and sisters to discern the path forward in close proximity with each other on the pilgrimage of justice and peace in order to make a difference in the country and the habited world, in the whole of Africa. We affirm to serve jointly with the Dutch Reformed Church for change, for transformation for ourselves and for the world we live in our country. In the words of our moderator in the beginning of this general, in the Central Committee, Dr. Agnes Aboon, who said, let us work together. Let us approve this recommendation and that we all work together with the Dutch Reformed Church. We want prayerfully to give the following scripture to the Dutch Reformed Church on the pilgrimage with us, Micah 6:8. He has shown us what is good. And what does the Lord require from us? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our Lord and our God. God of life, lead us to justice and peace. I thank you.
Thank you. Microphone 3, Fernando.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you, sister, for just the remarks that we've heard. That is very encouraging, and I'm not at all speaking against the welcoming of the Dutch Reformed Church in South Africa. It's the opposite. It's a real joy to have them back in the ecumenical family. Still, I would like to just be noted that some of us are really aware of the ongoing discussions within that church, and in an understanding of ecumenism as holding each other accountable, I think it should be noted also at this place that we realize that apartheid as a political ideology came to an end, but racism is still very much present in the society of South Africa, and it is also present in the churches. And therefore, with this note, I think we can welcome them. There are still questions that we would like to discuss with the Dutch Reformed Church in South Africa, for example, why it was impossible to adopt the Belhar Confession, which is so important for the whole society of South Africa. But this is, I'm stressing this again as noting it as we really commit ourselves to walk with you, and we want to walk with you in this pilgrimage of justice and peace.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Microphone 4, please.
Thank you, Moderator. Jerry Pillay from South Africa. Moderator, I was appointed by the World Communion of Reformed Churches to be the facilitator of the Dutch Reformed family in South Africa as far as unity and reconciliation talks were concerned. And I must say that I've been with them for a few years now through this process, and the process has gone to a very far extent, unfortunately not to the extent that we would love to see it at. There are challenges, but in spite of the challenges, I personally have been very encouraged by the leadership of the Dutch Reformed Church. They have played a very significant role in trying to make the unity talks move in spite of challenges within their own fellowship. They play a very central role in the ecumenical movement in South Africa and have shown themselves as a church that has come to stand against apartheid. As I said, not without challenges. Challenges are part and parcel of the experience, but the most important thing is that they are trying their best. And so, as somebody who has been journeying with them through these years, I like to stand and support enthusiastically the acceptance into full membership.
Thank you very much. Please, now show your cards that we receive with joy these three churches. We welcome. Could you please? Yes, the churches have received. You are from the Dutch Reformed, eh? Please. Introduce yourself and then.
I think I'm tall enough for this. Sisters and brothers, this is indeed a very historic and emotional moment for us. It's been 55 years since we left, and they were tough years. You will understand that this moment is truly of great significance to us. I want to acknowledge here at this moment of great joy our sister Miriam Plaatjes van der Vul, the moderator of UXA. Thank you for your recommendation. Thank you for journeying with us. Our sister church, thank you for everything you personally did to assist us on our journey and your church. I also want to acknowledge our brother Bishop Malusi Polwano from the SACC, our General Secretary. He's a wonderful friend and mentor to all of us. He's here, and I'm not sure whether he, Sister Van Huffel, Plaatje Van Huffel, or ourselves, Brother Jerry Pillay, who of us are the most joyful about this decision. Thank you, Brother Jerry Pillay, for your journey with us. I'm so glad you're here, so that you can share in our joy of this very great moment. These South African friends and many other compatriots embraced us in our darkest hour of shame and guided us back into the fold of the ecumenical bodies. We will also always be indebted to you, and will never forget how you forgave us in an unprecedented testimony of true Christian forgiveness. I also want to thank the WCC for all your gracious efforts to make our return to the WCC possible. I have to mention the names of our General Secretary, Dr. Olaf Twat, our regional representative on the Geneva staff, Dr. Isabella Piri, and Dr. Daniel Buddha. Also, thank you to the Reference Committee for your share in this coming back. Dr. Buddha, like Dr. Piri and Dr. Twat, made extensive contributions in a kind and professional way. We will never forget how you all embodied the love of Christ in this process. They say history is a long story, always. The DRC was part of the WCC from the moment of its inception in 1938. The Cape Synod of the DRC decided in 1940 to become a member, followed by the Transvaal Synod shortly afterwards. When the WCC met for a first General Council in Amsterdam in 1948, we were there. We were also present when the mother body of the World Communion of Reformed Churches met for the first time. We fully understood the importance of ecumenical relations already at the beginning of the ecumenical movement. But then the DRC missed the enormous Kairos moment of the Cottesloe consultation in December 1960. This conference was convened after the South African police shot 69 people in Sharpeville, Johannesburg. Although many delegates of the DRC were very critical of the conduct of the police, the member synods of the DRC in South Africa succumbed to the pressure of politics and the ideology of apartheid. The delegates of the WCC witnessed with clarity to the truth of the gospel and the responsibility of the church to stay true to its prophetic calling. But the DRC eventually chose to listen to the politicians and those who were masterminding the ideology of apartheid. This eventually led to the respective DRC member synods suspending their membership of the WCC in 1961. When the General Synod of the DRC was established in 1962, it did not even consider to become a member of the WCC. The DRC built a theological construct which became a travesty to the gospel. For many years, we ignored and resisted the reprimands and warnings of other South African churches and international ecumenical bodies. But slowly but surely, the prophetic voices of the likes of Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Dr. Beyers Nudia and churches from within South Africa and abroad and ecumenical bodies became so convincing and overwhelming that the truth of the gospel engulfed us and annihilated our resistance to the call for justice, reconciliation, and unity. We came to understand that every human being, regardless of his or her functionality, or race, or religious preference, or gender, or anything, is made in the image of God and therefore enjoys human dignity. We learned expensive and valuable lessons on our journey to conversion. We confessed our fallacy and sins to God and to all South Africans who suffered from the implications of our theological assumptions about racial division and separation. We confessed in public. We confessed at regional synods. We confessed at National General Synod. We invited Dr. Tutu, Dr. Nudia, even Mr. Nelson Mandela, our previous president, to our General Synod and confessed our fallacy and our sin. And we believe that we were forgiven by the Almighty, whose grace extends far beyond our human comprehension. But friends, we also know that no amount of words can obliterate the pain and suffering from the memories of those who had to bear the brunt of our mistakes. We also know that the legacy of apartheid is still well and alive. We still have to address the inequalities and injustices of our society, as well as the lingering racism and prejudices, the assumptions of superiority that still exist. With the Uniting Reformed Church of Southern Africa and our other ecumenical friends, we are engaged in a season of human dignity. And may I say, interrupt myself for a while, this season of human dignity was born out of deep discussions with Uniting Reformed Church about the true essence of the Confession of Bellar. We embraced it, and from our reading, our thorough reading of the Confession of Bellar, we discerned that the essence of we would not have completed this journey and be at this point on our new pilgrimage if it was not for the continuous and prophetic engagement of the leaders and structures of the WCC with the Dutch Reformed Church and South Africa as a country. The pain that the program to combat racism brought during the struggle for you and for us, and the consequent further alienation of the DRC from the WCC must be acknowledged. Although that exercise was very controversial, we will all have to admit that it, amongst other efforts, kept the pressure on the whole of South Africa alive and increasing all the time to the extent that the resistance had to crumble. You never let go of us. And to that I have to testify today. The WCC and our ecumenical sisters and brothers in South Africa never let go of us. While we closed the doors, you never did. After our conversion, you continue to guide and support us with visits, discussions, and correspondence. The WCC member churches in South Africa took us back into the ecumenical fellowship without shaming us. They never did. After our return, they never shamed us. They received us with love and forgiveness that can only be ascribed to true discipleship of Jesus Christ. Moderator, in the Dutch Reformed Church, you will have a committed and worthy partner is in unity. We also know that the integrity of the church lies in the embodiment of the love of Jesus Christ for every human being. We thank you for this opportunity to witness with you on the journey ahead about our Lord Jesus, His liberating love, and His powerful presence in our world. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, from the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian, Blantyre Synod.
Moderator, my accepting statement begins with a confession that the contemporary dictionaries have embarrassed me. They have failed to give me a word that could perfectly capture and adequately express the depth of my extreme excitement. My synod moderator back home and all members of the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian Blantyre Synod are greatly grateful for the inclusion in this family. Their celebration is so splendid, is a splendid offer of membership in the WCC is so tremendous. Some may ask why this excitement. Firstly, this membership fulfills the synod, the long desire of belonging. As we are aware, a sense of belonging is a basic human and organizational need, and is best felt than expressed. It exists across all people in all cultures and many institutions. The sense of belonging also causes us feel connected and safe. Hence, the Synod had been constantly longing to be a member to the WCC. Moderator, I would also want to inform the Council that Synod of Blantyre exists and operates in a society that treasures communal life, a life that believes I am not without you and you are not without me. So our inclusion in WCC expands the horizon of our existence, meaningful interaction, mutual learning, and experience sharing. By affiliation into this family, it means Blantyre Synod is in partnership with all global churches in the Council. And this will bring about recognition of the importance of interreligious dialogue and relations with other faiths, as well as the churches responsible to the integrity of creation, strengthening of relationship as a particular hallmark of the ecumenical movement. Having highlighted the reasons for the excitement and appreciation, our church also feels the membership will fertilize the capacity and ability to achieve the vision and the mission. Moderator, you may appreciate to know that our vision is God-fearing community that is spiritually and physically transformed, economically empowered, and self-reliant. And our mission is to proclaim the gospel for the salvation of humankind, discipleship, fellowship, preservation of the truth, and provision of social services. By being accepted today as a member in this family, the church has added value to its voice for the voiceless in Malawi and beyond. The prophetic role the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian Blantyre Synod plays will be more significant now because it will not be the only local church speaking as has always been, but rather the global church speaking. This is a church that has also been actively involved in influencing change of politics in Malawi through formation of Public Affairs Committee, which played a big and significant role in the change of system of government from a one-party-driven government to a multi-party-driven government way back in 1992-93. It is already exciting to note that we share similar interest and passion, moderator, in the pursuit of justice and peace. You will be pleased to learn that Blantyre Synod for these 2 years, that is 2015-2016, is pursuing to promote peace, hence the theme proclaiming peace through Jesus Christ, who is Lord for all. This is good news to the entire Church of Central Africa Presbyterian family in Malawi. As I conclude this acceptance statement, moderator, I wish to bring the following information for your knowledge and prayer. Firstly, as you are aware, our neighboring country, Mozambique, suffered from bloody civil war from 1976 to 1994. Regrettably, the civil war has broken out again, and Malawi has already received thousands of Mozambican refugees that now urgently need food and shelter. Secondly, there is a growing problem of human trafficking of young Malawians in the name of seeking employment to affluent Middle East countries, including Kuwait and Dubai. The Synod is being asked to help address this problem. And lastly, but not least, SADC region countries, in particular Malawi and Zimbabwe, have been badly affected by El Nino weather and thereby resulting in looming hunger, which is dehumanizing the citizens. We need your prayers. Moderator, once again, thank you so much for extending an olive branch to the Church of Central Africa Presbyterian Blantyre Synod to be part of this worldwide Christian family, which is on a pilgrimage of justice and peace. May God bless you, moderator, the Central Committee, and the World Council of Churches as a whole. Amen.
And now the representative from the Council of Baptist Churches in Northeast India.
Respected moderator or other moderators, thank you for the time given to share something about my church. I am Solomon Rongpi, serving as the General Secretary of the Council of Baptist Churches in Northeast India since 2014. Prior to that, I had been serving the National Council of Churches in India as the Executive Secretary for the Commission on Unity, Mission and Evangelism. I come from Northeast India, and it is one of the largest concentrations of Christians in India, of which my church, CBCNI, is the biggest group. Northeast India is unique in a sense that we have diverse indigenous peoples, languages, tribes, and cultures. The CBCNI is greatly honored by your acceptance as one of the constituent members of WCC. On behalf of the Council of Baptist Churches in Northeast India, which includes 6 regional conventions, namely the Assam Baptist Convention, Arunachal Baptist Convention, Karbi Anglong Baptist Convention, Garo Baptist Convention, Manipur Baptist Convention, Nagaland Baptist Church Council, 4 associate members, 100 Baptist associations, 7,518 local congregations with over 1 million plus baptized members living in 6 states of Northeast India. Along with all my colleagues and staff of CBCNI, including its institutions, I bring greetings to all the officers of WCC, respected executive committee members, central committee members, and all official delegates from all over the world present here. I am so much honored and privileged to be invited as an advisor to the Central Committee meeting and the accepting of CBCNI to be a member of the WCC. The Baptists in Northeast India, under the umbrella of CBCNI, existed for the last 180 years and is the product of the American Baptist Foreign Mission Society, now known as the International Ministries of the American Baptist Churches in the USA, which began its mission work in Northeast India in 1836. The CBCNI exists to serve and empower the churches in Northeast India so that they will be effective agents for transforming the societies within their own communities, encourage and equips churches in witnessing Jesus Christ so that all people may come to know Jesus Christ and experience life in its fullness, fosters unity in Christ in the face of divisive forces working against us, advocates justice and renders humanitarian services to the poor and the marginalized, and be an agent of peace and reconciliation against ethnic, religious, and political violence. The Council has a theological college located at Jorhat, 6 hospitals to provide health care to the sick and the suffering, Justice and Peace Ministries Department that gives attention of peace building, Mission and Evangelism Department, which facilitates the churches and associations in a ministry of holistic evangelism, Christian Literature Center, which provides good Christian literatures, Student Ministry, which run 3 hostels to inculcate Christian values and discipleship, Property Department that looks after the land and properties in the Council, Baptist News as an official organ for effective communication, and a new project just launched called Northeast Christian University, which will be started soon to inculcate the Christian values in secular educational system. I, on behalf of CBCNI, on this auspicious occasion, would like to express our deep gratitude to the World Council of Churches for accepting us a member. The gospel has brought significant change in the life of the people of Northeast India, transforming the societies through education, healing ministry, theological education, economic development, and spiritual nurture. We believe by becoming member of the World Council of Churches. The CBCNI will be more encouraged to continue God's mission on this earth, sharing the common vision that WCC has. As we join the global church, I assure you that the CBCNI will be committed to ecumenism, world peace and justice, and work towards the unity of churches and humanity. In conclusion, I express my sincere thanks to Father Daniel Buddha, who took the initiative to process our application for membership, Policy Reference Committee, the Executive Committee, and Central Committee members for accepting CBCNI as a constituent member and inviting me to be part of this historic event of the Central Committee meeting held in Trondheim, Norway. I hope and believe that God will continue to lead us and guide us as we continue to celebrate life of togetherness and envision oneness in Christ. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Ecumenical Fellowship, as you said, dear brother. We continue. Where is... If it's needed, you can do it. Now, you continue.
Yes, moderator, thank you very much. It's an honor to be present today. The next item is M. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee, based on World Council of Churches Rule 1.5 and following the positive recommendation of the team visit, accept the application for admission of the Africa Brother Church, Kenya, as a World Council of Churches member church according to, according to the World Council of Churches rules. Second, accept the application for admission of Community of Baptist Churches in Central Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, as a World Council of Churches member church according to the World Council of Churches rules. And establish for each church an interim period of participation in the work of the World Council of Churches and for interaction with the local fellowship of member churches of 24 months or until the next Central Committee meeting, so that at that meeting of the next Central Committee in 2018, a final decision can be made.
Okay, thank you. We accept the two churches as a recommendation for their application, and then to establish this interim period according to the WCC rules. Please, your cards. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, moderator. The next item is N. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee recognize the Canadian Lutheran World Relief as a specialized ministry in a working relationship with the World Council of Churches according to Rule 16, taking note of the nature of the Canadian Lutheran World Relief as a network with objectives consistent with the functions and purposes of the World Council of Churches and its expressed desire to relate to and continue cooperation with the World Council of Churches.
And the next one, please.
That's separate for decision.
It's separate, yes. Show your cards, please. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. With respect to item O, the Policy Reference Committee would like to read the narrative because of the nature of the first application of this rule.
Okay.
The Policy Reference Committee, this is at paragraph 24, considered the place...
Let's go to 24, it's on page
7.
7, in the beginning.
The
please.
Policy Reference Committee considered the place of the Church of Jesus Christ on earth by his special envoy, Simon Kambagwa, the Kambagwist Church, in the ecumenical family. This issue has been on the agenda of the World Council of Churches governing bodies for decades. The committee heard a full account of the challenges that have been faced by the World Council of Churches in attempting to meet with the leaders of this member church, together with the All Africa Council of Churches and the Organization of African Instituted Churches. The committee recognized that the revision of the World Council of Churches rules adopted at the 10th Assembly in Busan provides a mechanism for suspension of the membership of a church. The committee was informed about the consultations undertaken by the leadership of the World Council of Churches, including with the leadership of the All African Conference of Churches and the Organization of African Instituted Churches, and members of the Central Committee gathered in the Africa Regional Meeting, who shared the concerns of the World Council of Churches. Recognizing on the one hand the implications of the Church's representation of WCC membership in the face of its popular theology, and the recalcitrance of church leadership to honor commitments to resolve the concerns that have arisen, and on the other hand, the size of the church, both locally and in the locally in the DRC and environs, and in its global diaspora, and the reported faithfulness of a large portion of its adherents to authentic Christian doctrine. The committee also considered the responsibility of the fellowship to a member church that has fallen into error. So I now read the recommendation at O on page 3. The Policy Reference Committee recommends that the Central Committee, based upon the provisions of Rule 16b2, suspend the membership of the Church of Jesus Christ on Earth by his special envoy Simon Kimbagua's church, and that the process indicated in Rule 16c be undertaken. That is, when the Central Committee suspends the membership of a church, the General Secretary shall present progress reports to the Executive Committee until a solution is mutually agreed. Any decision about the membership status of the church shall be taken by the Central Committee.
Thank you. Any comments? Show your cards, please. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, moderator.
We'll move.
That concludes the membership matters. The
Thank
next
you.
document was Gen PRC 3 toward the midterm evaluation and renewal of the WCC strategic plan. The committee recommends that the Central Committee approve the proposed approach and timeline for establishing the midterm evaluation and the renewal of the WCC strategic plan, and approve the proposed terms of reference, including the expected results, methodologies, and profile of the midterm evaluation team.
Thank you. Any comment? No? Show your cards, please, for both. Thank you.
The
Both.
next document was Gen Pro 02 on the way to the WCC 11th Assembly. The committee recommends that the Central Committee endorses the WCC Assembly venue search specifications for considering potential venues. Requests that all member churches be invited to consider hosting the next assembly, asking them to announce their interest by November 2016. Directs the Executive Committee to monitor the process of the venue search, and decide the theme for the 11th Assembly during a face-to-face meeting of the Central Committee and not by postal vote, understanding that this may require the next Central Committee to decide both venue and theme during the same meeting.
Thank you. Any comment on that? This is for the Assembly. Would it be possible to ask the churches until end of October, then in the Executive November to have a list? Oh, the Executive is in November.
If it's in November 1.
Yes, and then we say by October 16.
By November 1.
Or November 1, oh, yeah. Then to have a list or a report in the next Executive Committee.
By November 1.
Okay. Show your cards if you agree on that to add this. Thank you very much. Please continue.
Gen Pro 4, Policy on Non-Active Member Church Status. The committee recommends that the Central Committee withdraw the policy on non-active member churches as set out in the report of the Policy Reference Committee 1, Gen 15, 2003, and the report of the Finance Committee, Gen Fin 03, 2006. affirm the policy for reimbursements of travel costs for the World Council of Churches governing, consultative, and advisory bodies approved by the Executive Committee in November 2014, recognizing the policy maintains the link between reimbursements and financial stewardship reflected in the former policy on non-active member church status, and continue to monitor membership contributions with concern for churches that have not made a contribution in 3 consecutive years or more, that is, review annually or semi-annually by the Executive Committee and biennially by the Central Committee.
Thank you. Any comments, please? If not, show your cards. Okay, thank you.
That concludes the recommendations of the Policy Reference
Thank
Committee.
you.
Moderator.
Then we have a little, go back to what Metropolitan Bishoy said. Do you have any proposal, Your Eminence? This is the proposal, as just to clarify again, the proposal is going to address to
Permanent Committee.
to Permanent Committee, and you agree on that, okay?
Thank you.
You give this later.
Not now.
No, you give this later. This will be discussed in the committee, in the PCC, in the next meeting. Will be the agenda, give to the staff who deal with that, to Dr. Buddha or to Dr. Odair, Director of Faith and Knowledge. He's there, he's close to you. Then you can give. Then let's, for the whole document, thank you, Anne, thank you, the members of the Policy Referral Committee. Please, now we come to the action to receive the whole report with all these recommendations that we have made through the reading. Please show your cards. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Now we go back to public issues.
So we will go back to the documents we were looking at before lunch. We turn to Gen Pub 5.6, please. We'll try and briefly get these changes approved now.
Could it be possible to have the text, please?
Yeah, it's on its way, I think. Okay. So we've changed the...
Which paragraph?
Okay, we've changed the title to human trafficking and migrant smuggling and made changes associated with that in the text as well. In the first paragraph, you'll notice the change to include "and dignity" to cover human dignity as well as human rights.
Let's go one by one, then
Yeah.
it will be easier to finish. Do you accept this addition to the title, please? Now is reading minutes on human trafficking and migrant smuggling. Do you agree with that? Please show your cards. Okay, thank you. The addition of the second line of human rights and dignity. You agree with that? Thank you. Then
in the second paragraph, we've changed human trafficking and migrant smuggling constitute modern-day slavery, and also human trafficking and migrant smuggling are today almost invisible. So just to add migrant smuggling into there and make the sense.
it's clear, the two additions, paragraph 2. Okay, thank you. Go to 3, this issue.
We changed this paragraph back to the original. It included, we'd missed some words out before.
Could you read, please?
Yeah, this issue is at the current time causing particular pain to our brothers and sisters in Latin America, which is both a point of origin and destination for trafficking and smuggling, and is affecting thousands of people in that region who live with this cruel reality. One of the key challenges of the phenomenon of human trafficking and migrant smuggling in Latin America is to measure accurately the scope of an illicit market. At this time, the number of trafficked people is projected to be around 2.5 million. However, it is estimated that for each victim identified, there are another 20 people unidentified. 70% are women and girls, and it is especially devastating that half of trafficking victims are under 18 years of age, according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime.
Thank you. Do you agree with these corrections? So your cards, thank you very much. There's something?
Yes. In Latin America, 2.5 million is the whole world.
Pardon?
What is Thomas?
You say, Thomas.
No, I've noticed something here. The estimate of 2.5 million is to the whole world. So if we keep with the one of the key challenges of the phenomenon of human trafficking, migrant smuggling in Latin America, so 2.5 million refers to Latin America. I think we should drop the Latin America.
Could you put this in the screen, the correction?
To take
Could you
Latin
say
America.
slowly again, repeat?
So it's just to drop Latin America.
Yeah.
One of the key challenges of the phenomenon of human trafficking.
We delete and then is reading, and migrant smuggling is to measure, huh?
So, yes, it's just the region that,
Yes.
because 2.5 million refers to an estimate of the United Nations that we found in 2008 for the whole world, although the estimates are not that reliable as the one we have.
Do you agree with that correction? No? Bishop, please, take the microphone. Metropolitan.
No, it's a clarification for the second line in the same paragraph. I didn't understand. Countries suffering of poverty and conflict, like in Asia, Africa, and Middle East. This is deleted or is there?
Is deleted.
But me, I disagree. I think the human trafficking is in countries suffering of poverty and conflict. And so these countries is included in Africa and in Asia. This is the view of my church and also of the All Africa Conference of Churches.
And then you propose to keep it?
Yes. What is the problem not to include? I don't understand.
We took it out from there because it changes the sense, because we're talking about Latin America being the point of origin and destination. It doesn't fit in that point.
We
in the
can
paragraph.
introduce, so the solution is to introduce a small paragraph to say
So
the human trafficking, that there are many victims of human trafficking in countries related to poverty and conflict in Asia, Africa and Middle East.
Yeah, we've included it in paragraph 4. We haven't actually named specific regions.
Why not to name?
Because we miss.
Because most of
we either name them all or we miss.
most of
miss
the
which is
people
there.
suffering from
together, they cannot understand, please.
Most of the people, according to the statistics of the United Nations, the 2/3 of the victims of human trafficking come from Africa, Asia, and Middle East today.
Bishop Opoko.
The issue at stake here is human trafficking predicated upon poverty? And we said no. WCC, in collaboration with the Council of Churches in Asia, in 2014, held a consultation in Colombo, in Sri Lanka, on modern-day slavery. And we discovered that this is a global phenomenon in which billions of dollars are involved. And one of the things we also discovered was the fact that this has to do with greed, this has to do with exploitation. Yes, there may be a relation to poverty, but that is not the reason why this is happening. Because the people who are engaging in this are very rich, affluent, highly connected, mafia kind of a group that works globally. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, what to do? Please, you want to say something before.
Well, in the next paragraph, we've included it being a global phenomenon. So this is a global phenomenon that affects not only the Latin American territory, but has had a significant impact in all regions of the world. We decided at that stage not to mention specific regions, but we can include some if need be. But
Yes, this we discussed.
and we wanted to make it more general.
Your Eminence, you agree that because it's repeated in the next paragraph says that it's a global phenomenon and so on.
I think my English is understandable. I want to see the terms Asia, Africa, and Middle East. But I accept what you agree. But this is my personal view, and not only my view, but also this, I think, is the view of the All Africa Conference of Churches. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, how to do? But
Your Eminence, with due respect, it is indeed the concern of the AACC, but when we reflected afresh on this statement, we felt that paragraph 4, without mentioning, and in light of what was also raised by others, that phrase was added to indicate that Latin American territory, but has had a significant impact in all regions of the world. So without having to go into mentioning specific territories, we thought that could cover for the time.
you agree now? Okay.
Thank you.
Then show your cards. For that paragraph,
This is
we
for paragraph
continue
3.
to the next. What?
Is that for paragraph 3 or 4?
Although.
Also 4.
Yes,
And the recommendations then, at the end?
What was the change in the?
These have just been changed again to include smuggled persons. So
We have passed this, okay.
I think that's...
Other corrections?
But we have added a fourth recommendation, which should read encourages at the beginning, sorry. Encourages its member churches...
Let's move the text in the screen.
Sorry.
Wait.
Recommendation 4. Sorry.
Oh, there is a 4-1.
It should read encourages there. Encourages its member churches to be attentive to peoples and organisations working to combat human trafficking and migrant smuggling, particularly in their struggle against organised crime.
Against
Which we hope
organized
captures
crime. Do you agree with this
comments.
fourth recommendation? Okay. Thank you. We finish?
I think that's it for have we got time to go back to Puerto Rico as well now?
No.
No, okay.
No, it's
I think
time.
it's
Continue.
Puerto Rico? So if we can look at
we have only what?
5.8. Yeah.
Continue a little. Okay, please continue.
There are very few changes that we've made here.
What is the Puerto Rico?
It's Jump Hub 5.8.
Yes, please.
You'll need to see them on the screen
what?
now.
Dr. Cuevas.
The approval of the whole document, Your Eminence.
Eh?
The approval of whole
yes, please.
Yeah.
First, to show your cards for the whole text one. With the changes of trafficking and so on. Thank you very much. Now, document 08.
Yeah. We've changed the first line to read the World Council of Churches expresses its solidarity with Puerto Rico as it faces a serious financial and haven't changed that any further. The changes and then all we kept in paragraph...
No, don't move.
What do you want to...
You agree that this change in first paragraph? Okay, show your cards. Then continue, please. Where? The third?
And then in paragraph 3,
yes,
we left that as we changed it during the session to read the country's political status places it at a disadvantage, making it susceptible to predatory lending, infringing on its right to self-determination at a time of dire crisis.
Thank you.
To cover the
You agree?
larger
Show your
financing.
cards. Continue, please.
That was all the changes we made. I just changed it in paragraph 4, Puerto Ricans who had migrated to the US. That was just a change from that to who.
The
to
other was
correct the English.
accepted, the continental, and also the last one is the WCC,
Yeah.
because you refer now in the beginning.
Yeah, we had that earlier, so that's all the
No,
changes.
there is no
made
other
there.
changes.
No.
No. Please, we receive the text. Show your cards. Thank you.
Thank
Continue.
you. That's-
Finish.
Well, we don't have time to start a new document now, I don't think, do we?
We have still documents.
We have another 4 to go, but
You come back.
I think probably photograph and coffee
We
is.
come back. Okay, now this, we have this picture, eh?
Yeah.
General Secretary.
Please pay attention to this announcement, that we immediately now go out and upstairs and outdoor to have the official photo of this Central Committee. Out of the room, upstairs and outdoor. And please don't take your coffee first, take it after. The photo will be taken, and if you take your coffee first, you will not be on the photo.
And you come back, and at the beginning, we continue the next session, the topics, and then we move to the closed session.